So for those out there that don't know us, which is probably all of y'all,
Everyone.
we have a variety of interests, and like I said, this is an opportunity for us to get to talk about the things we want to talk about. So tonight we want to get this started. Josh suggested this particular topic because he has a real interest in this particular movie, and we're going to be talking about the Batman Part 2. And it came out, I believe it was yesterday, Josh, was it?
Yes,
that
it was.
That this movie got delayed. And I'm looking at the article right now from the Hollywood Reporter, and they're saying that it got pushed back from October of 2025 to now going to be October 2nd of 2026. According to the article, they're saying that the reason why it has to do with the strikes in Hollywood. So, Josh, what do you think about this?
To be honest with you, Bob, I am a little disappointed. I loved the first movie and have been waiting very patiently for the second one to come out, and was getting ready for it to come out in October of 2025, and to hear that we're just going to delay it another year really was very tough to hear. I get that we had, the writer's strike and everything, but it just seems like this is too constant of a pattern in Hollywood lately. I don't know if both of you agree or disagree with me on that. And, I'm also very not concerned, but, the DCU has been rebooted now. And so we've got James Gunn, who's coming out with like a great Superman movie. And then all of a sudden, after that's released, we're getting the Batman 2, which was the first one was released 2 years ago. Back, with kind of like the old DCEU, even though it wasn't part of that. So I don't know. I am not too happy with it. I'm excited about the sequel, and I don't know why they really had to push it back a full year. Maybe a half a year, maybe March, because didn't the first one come out in March, Bob?
I think it was in March. Don't quote me on that.
And so it's like, or even do it in May, for a summer blockbuster. So that's how I feel. I don't know how you guys might feel about it, but I just was very, upset about it.
All right. Well, what do you think about it, Derek?
So, just to make sure I got my facts right here, so they're saying this is delayed because of a writer's strike.
Yeah, they're saying that it has to do with the writers and the actor strikes that they had this past year, and they're saying that delayed production on the movie, and so because of that, it's getting pushed back a year.
Okay, so there's not like a new strike happening or anything like that. This is
not that I'm aware of.
Okay,
there is a possible costume kind of strike that I have heard about. I don't know, how accurate that is, but that's been going around here in LA lately. So we'll see.
Okay, so another strike. Is it possible maybe that they're holding off to wait and see what happens with this?
Maybe, but go ahead, Derek. You go ahead and finish.
Well, so what I was trying to get to here is that okay, so the first round of this Batman, like the last film, was in 2022, and that came out. Oh gosh, when was that?
March.
Was it March of 2022?
Yeah, March of 2022.
Okay. Now, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that like stacked with a bunch of issues itself too? That movie, like, didn't
You're
that
right.
have a bunch of problems?
Yeah,
I believe it was delayed coming out as well.
Yeah, so
some of it had to do with COVID, but there were other things that played into it.
I think there were other things that played into it too. Like the movie just wasn't going as expected. There was a lot of back and forth just a lot of clamor from what I heard. But and I know COVID played into it too, which nobody can help that. But it seems like this round of Batman is just snake bit. Like every time they try to get something going off the ground, just something gets in the way of it. And I was a fan of the first one. I mean, this first one with Robert Pattinson. I actually thought it played like a psychological thriller. Which if you make a really good one, those are awesome.
Yeah.
But if we keep having to wait and wait and wait, to Josh's point, I mean, people will surely see it, but patience wears thin these days. People aren't going to have time to just sit and wait for the other Batman. They're going to lose interest. So I hope that doesn't happen with this one. But I don't know. I hope they do a good job. I'm not sure who the villain is supposed to be. Maybe that will get people amped up for it. Do you guys know who the villain's supposed to be?
I've
I'll
heard
be
rumors.
honest, I have no idea. What have you heard, Josh?
I've heard Mr. Freeze. I've heard a lot of people are like kind of interested in Matt Reeves tackling, him. I've heard Clayface as another possibility. Have not heard about the Joker, even though we got to see him, in that deleted scene when the first one came out. So I don't know. I just feel that like if you think about it, we're dealing 4.5 years, right? Between the two.
Yeah.
I mean, we invest in these characters, and it's like now it's almost like we have to start over with it. What do you think, Bob?
Yeah,
go
good
ahead.
question. Go to Bob.
Personally, I do think that they run the risk of people losing interest.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem is that you're looking at like y'all both said that you're looking at 4.5 years between movies, but with the new DC movies coming out, I think that's where you run the issue.
Yeah.
Because from my understanding, James Gunn wants to do his own Batman movie. He wants to do Batman Brave and the Bold, and he's going to have another Batman on screen. You run the risk of having two Batmen on screen at the same time, and I think that could run into some confusion with continuity amongst the normie audience. Obviously, I think the hardcore audience, they're not going to care. But I do think that could be an issue. But I do think you're going to end up losing interest. And like you said, the first film was delayed quite a bit. And when it finally came out, it did fairly well. But I just don't know if they can keep that goodwill if the film keeps getting pushed back.
Yeah. Did you like that one, Bob?
I did. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. I loved it.
I mean, I'm not going to say it was the best Batman movie out there, but Pattinson did do a better job than what I was expecting.
I thought it was a good, different take.
Yeah.
I think I like the fact that they tried to do a detective story, and because of that, it had a different feel than the other movies.
Yeah, good call.
It was gritty.
Absolutely.
It was a good way to do the Riddler. That was a superb job on the villain front, I thought.
Who Derek loves the Riddler. He's wanted a good Riddler for many, many years.
Long time.
So
I liked the Riddler for most of the movie. I just didn't like him in that one interrogation scene.
Did he just look too baby to you, or
I don't know. I thought he just got a little too far out there. I don't know. I guess I see the Riddler more like how he was in the animated series than kind of this wild-eyed guy that's laughing all the time and whatnot. So I see him closer to how he was in the animated series.
Yeah, if you're gonna laugh, you have to be the Joker. Like that's the way that works. The laugh goes to the Joker. That's how it has to go down.
Right, but was it like Frank Gorshin back in the campy Batman series in the '60s? He laughed quite a bit, right?
Yeah, he did, but that don't nobody care about that.
Josh, nobody in the '60s series was accurate to how they actually are in the comic book.
No.
He also wore green spandex, and they were fake punching and doing all sorts of stuff that would not.
Wham! Bam!
Yeah.
No, but you know what? That was fun for the time. I enjoyed that.
It was.
As a kid, I used to really get into that show.
Yeah. I do have one more question, though. Do we know how many movies James Gunn has actually signed up for at this point?
As far as I know, he's only writing and directing. As far as the movies go, he's just doing Superman. But he gave a not a press conference, but he released, what was it, on his Twitter and his Facebook. He released a list of all the movies and television shows that he had planned out for, what was it, Josh, the next 10 years?
Yeah, and you and I talked about it, Bob. We were very surprised because we thought he at least had a plan, something that the former DECU did not. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we'll
But
see.
the question is, was it a good plan?
We
Or is
won't
it
know.
or a
We
feasible
won't know.
plan? Like, is it going to work?
I don't know. I'll let you know after Superman.
Well, I mean, the only reason I'm asking that is because he seemed like he's like at the wheel, like he's the one that's guiding the
is.
ship. For this whole DCU thing to work.
Oh yeah,
And-
Yeah,
he
that's
is.
my understanding is that he's got the vision behind it, where this thing's going to go.
Yeah,
And maybe that's a good thing because you look at, say, Star Wars, or you look at
Marvel.
as opposed to maybe Marvel. Star Wars, you had multiple ideas coming out and no set vision, and you saw where that went. And Marvel, all the way up through Infinity War and Endgame, had a singular vision. It wasn't until you got to Phase 4 that it got all over the place. But because of that, it was successful. And you look at the new Star Wars, on the other hand, after Disney acquired it, it started hot and then has gone downhill. So maybe it'll be a good thing that DC has a singular vision, because that's been part of their problem since they tried the whole DCEU with Zack Snyder. They had one guy who was going to kind of have the vision, and then when he ended up getting let go, it went all over the place.
yeah. Yeah, you probably do want to, go with the right goal in mind, the right vision, the right track to get there. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this all pans out. But October 2026 is a long way away.
Yeah.
Oh, Josh,
Yeah.
you're just going to have to keep waiting.
Guess so.
Oh,
I
wait, one more question though.
Sure.
yeah.
Aren't they making a second Joker too, as well?
Yes.
This year, and that's coming out in October of this year.
Is that linked into the DCU in any way? Or is
Not that
like
we
its
know
own
of.
thing?
No, it's
Oh,
its
okay.
own thing.
Huh. That's interesting. Just curious.
It'll be interesting to see what happens as far as with the new DCU and the Batman and all of that, because there's a lot of talk about there being superhero fatigue out there. And the question is it superhero fatigue or is it bad movie fatigue? And you end up having we're looking at the list of movies that are coming out comic book movie wise before Superman comes out. And there's a possibility for some stinkers. And so, you got Deadpool and Wolverine still to come out, but I don't see Craven doing that great.
No.
Venom 3, maybe okay, but I don't think it's going to do that great either.
It'd be all right.
So, the possibility is, will these stinkers end up hurting Superman next year and then the Batman the year after?
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot riding on this Superman from what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Well, I think there is, because if they don't get this one right, their new plan and new DCU, it's dead on arrival.
Goes down.
Right.
Yeah, it goes down the drain.
If they don't get this one right.
Ooh.
So there's a lot of riding on it. Almost makes you wonder if they should have brought the Batman out first,
Yeah.
since it stands alone away from the rest of the continuity that they're forming.
That's also a really good point, is that the Batman has always kind of stood out on his own anyway. So maybe there'll be, enough of a distance with the character and the story where whether he's part of the DCU or not, maybe that's, and people love Batman. So people will see it, but maybe if you get enough space from the fact that it's on its own, that probably will keep maybe some level of interest in it as well. Because no one's going to link this one up to whatever James Gunn is doing, or at least I don't think they will.
All right. Well, any other thoughts on this?
Good luck.
I think we should move on. We'll keep an eye on it. And, I'm just wondering if Matt Reeves has a script written already. Because if he does, why the delay?
The strikes, they said.
I know. All right.
All right.